Hi, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about a mother's journey in real estate from diapers to deals with Hannah Davis. Hannah,
Hello.
thank you so much for joining me today and
Of course.
sharing some of your experiences being a fantastic real estate agent, but also a mother of two little ones. Hannah, tell me a little bit about your background and how old your kids are so that everyone can get to
Um,
know you.
so my boys are 3. One just turned 3. Wesley just turned 3, and Bodhi will be 17 months in about a week, a little less than a week. My real estate career started in March of 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic, and Wesley was born in June of 2021. So I was pregnant my first year of real estate, and yeah, I mean, it's a balance, but I've made it work.
So you have two babies, hence the from diapers to deals.
Yes.
And Hannah, I know you very well because you're actually on our real estate team. So
Yeah.
I've been watching you and your career, and that's why I wanted for you to come on and share. When you started, you were not pregnant, right? So you
Correct.
were just starting this great new career, excited to embark on the journey. And how long were you in real estate before you got pregnant with your first child? You said
So I started on the team in March of 2020, and then I was pregnant probably September, October of 2020. So 6, 7 months in there.
so
I
you
had
had a little bit of time, a little bit of time.
yes, yeah, enough to get my feet wet.
And maybe it would be helpful to talk about your success over, that first year of real estate to the second year to the third year. Tell me what it looked like. You were pregnant, you had your first baby, got pregnant again, and had your second baby.
Yes.
And here we are now, 4 years later, right?
Here we are, yeah. Um, so my first year, I think I started off pretty well, and then, going into 2021, I feel like I still was gaining momentum and still had a pretty successful year, just, being really just a year in. Um, 2022, I had a fantastic year, and, so right before Wes turned 1, I found out I was pregnant with Bodhi, and that was in 2022. And I had such a fantastic year in 2022, and I owe a lot to my support system for helping make that happen.
Mhm.
And but I think the cool part is that it really is possible, and I was able to achieve such a level of success even with he wasn't a newborn at that point, but an infant at home and navigating all of that.
Yeah. So last year, in your fourth year of real estate, um, what was your volume that you accomplished last year?
A little over 6 million, and I did have Bodhi in February of 2023. So throw that
So
in
you
there.
sold $6 million in real estate with a toddler and a brand new baby, which again, this is why I'm asking Hannah to come talk to us because even in my own mind, I'm like, how on earth did she do this? How is this possible? Because, I'm a mother too. We have two boys, Ethan and Connor. Ethan is 12 turning 13 and Connor is 10 turning 11. So my boys were very close in age when I had them and I was selling real estate. And at that time, I did have to take a major step back because Ed and I were both real estate agents and it was just a wild time.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been loving watching you navigate something that you love alongside of having a family because it's proving to me that it is possible. Now,
It is.
it's
Yeah.
not easy, right, Hannah?
No, no. Um,
So
it's not
let's
easy.
talk about let's get into some details around this because you know it isn't gonna none of this is easy, right? And there's got to be a reason why you're doing it. And so let's walk through a typical day in your life, balancing real estate and motherhood.
Yeah. you're going to hear me say this over and over, but calendar and communication, the two big C's of being a mother and a real estate agent, are
Mhm.
calendar and communication. Um, you know, we have coaching calls every week, and we've been discussing, creating this perfect week on your calendar, and it's really something that we do from the beginning. But even as a fourth year real estate agent, it's still something that I have to stick to.
Yeah.
Things like, on Mondays, maybe it's open house follow up early, from 8 to 9, and then knowing that Bodhi sleeps from roughly 10 o'clock to about noon, he takes his nap. So that's a good time to lead gen because Wes can be a little bit quieter. 17-month-old, not so much. Um,
Mhm.
Fortunately, it has worked out with a lot of my clients that appointments are in the evening because a lot of my clients have a 9 to 5 job. So I've been able to show in the evening, and I sort of block out 4 p.m. and later. My husband Joe does work from home, so that really helps too if I do have a daytime appointment that I need to go on. However, fortunately, it has worked out for the most part that my clients are good for evenings or weekends, or you know Joe and I just communicate and work it out and put it on the calendar.
So calendar and communication. I love that. So we're going to keep
Yes.
talking about calendar and communication. And
Yes.
I guess, what are the biggest challenges that you've faced?
Staying on task for sure, and asking for help when I need
Mm.
it. I think, we think we can, we can take on anything, we can do it all. Um, and, asking for help is not a weakness. It's just, makes you better, I think. So, having a support system, reaching out, having conversations with Joe on how we can both balance our schedules with him being in meetings all day, even though he does work from home. He does have a lot of meetings still on Zoom and everything. So just comparing our calendars and, communicating on when things best work out, really.
So I've heard, I think this can be a challenge with dual working parents and very young children. There can be some resentments in terms of, whose job is the priority, or who has to take priority in the kids. Like, how do you guys manage that? Is one of your roles the priority in your family, or do you look at it as we both have equal roles and we just have to share?
Um, because of the nature of his job, I think I would consider myself the primary caregiver throughout the day,
Mhm.
just because I am more flexible, but I also have to be very careful about that too. um, So, we play an equal role for sure when we can.
Mhm.
However, I think because of the nature of my job, I do take on that primary caregiver role a little bit more than Joe does on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm. Mhm. And I know you said you needed to ask for help. What other support systems do you have in place? Like, who else helps you? Because I know if you have to leave or show a house or go to inspection and Joe's working, what do you do? How do you manage that?
So 2 days a week, Mondays, I have help from my mom. She actually watches my kids from Sunday night into Monday and then all day Monday,
Mhm.
which is amazing, and, it gives us an opportunity on Sundays to, like, have date night or do stuff like that, and then, work on our house, or if I have an open house, I can go and do my open houses on Sundays, and,
Mhm.
it gives me the whole day of flexibility, which is really great, and
Mm.
then, of course, we have team training on Mondays, so
Mhm.
that allows me to go into the office and do that. So my mom has been, and my dad have both been a huge help. They both run their own businesses too, so they have a flexible schedule,
Mhm.
and I've kind of seen that my whole life, and that was really ideal for me too in raising kids. And then my sister is a big help as well. She
Mhm.
also runs her own business. um,
A family of
it's a family
entrepreneurs,
thing.
right? Yeah.
Yes. And she helps me on Thursdays as well, so I can attend our sales team meetings,
Mhm.
and yeah, and just make my life a little bit more flexible. That way, I have those days solidly for sure that I can do the things that I need to do.
And so you're really, really blessed that you have family members that are able to do that. What would someone do
Yes.
if they didn't have family in town, or their parents worked, or they, weren't able to help them? What are some ideas that you would suggest?
Establishing boundaries with your clients are it's a big deal.
Mhm.
And that term like almost sounds aggressive to me to be like
Mhm.
establish boundaries, like stay. However, I think again, it goes back to communication and telling your clients up front, hey, I do have 2 kids. And I would say 9 times out of 10, they're going to understand anyway, because they might be in the same situation or they might know someone that's in the same situation. And
Mhm.
if you don't have that support system, I think it's just good to communicate that up front that like this is my available time.
Mhm.
I will do my best to accommodate anything if we have to change that. But early communication is good. I think is like setting that boundary early with your clients and
Mhm.
getting your schedules to align. And the great part about our team is we have other agents we can leverage too. So
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, sometimes, and I think this is a really interesting topic because I feel all too often women are, I mean, we are taught that we can do it all.
mhm,
We should be able to do it all. We need to do it all. We want to do it all. And yet, in the professional environment, we should not talk about having children.
yeah.
Like, we should not say that we have kids and we have that responsibility. Do you ever feel that kind of, I don't know, just maybe I shouldn't say that I have kids at home or that I'm home with the kids and I can't show a house? Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, that it can be difficult. I think it's something that I've had to get over because everyone who has kids has obligations to their kids and their family.
Right.
And
Whether
I
you're a man or a woman, right?
right.
Right.
And I think that
Mhm.
maybe people with kids tend to understand a little bit more. However, I've noticed everyone kind of empathizes with the situation. So if you're like, hey, I have my, I'm with my kids tonight, I don't have a sitter or, those kind of
Mhm.
things. Even in like a fast-paced market, people can be flexible and people are generally wonderful. um, and it's just all about again open communication and scheduling, talking early and often,
Mhm.
um, and leveraging other people in your support system and other agents on our team too, or other agents if you build a network of other agents that maybe that are willing to help you and that kind of thing. It's definitely something that I've done.
Well, and it sounds like because it's amazing when you have that much support and but it also can be a logistical nightmare, right? So
Yeah.
how, you turn into a full-time, logistics manager. So how do
Yes.
you like what tools do you use to keep track of this? And what kind of habits have you gotten into to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be and organized and all the
Um,
moving pieces and parts?
Certainly calendar, and then, we have
Mhm.
our follow-up boss system, which I mean, how would you classify that as a software? I mean,
That is a CRM, a client
CRM.
management system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, not only that, but creating my own task lists for during the day. It's like, this is what I wanna get accomplished, like,
Hmm.
on a personal level and on a business level today too. So, I'm very good with, checklists. They make me want to, cross them off and get them done, and, I think just either setting expectations for your week or for your day early on is, and being specific about it too, not just like, "I wanna do lead gen." Like, what do you want to do specifically lead gen wise on Tuesday that
Right.
will provide success in your business? So, um, being specific and kinda mapping out your day and creating that perfect day, perfect week.
Yes. And I love how you said you have, your task list. I mean, I have had a task list for I don't know how many years that on one side it says, EHT ad hoc team or whatever I'm doing professionally. And on the other side it says personal. And it's
Mhm.
like, create content, finish this contract, do this. And then on the other side, it's call the dentist, set up swim
Yeah.
lessons, call my mom, organize. Because again, as a primary caregiver of the house, you're also responsible for groceries, dinner planning. Um,
Mhm.
let's not forget making sure your kids have clothes to wear that fit them,
Yes,
cleaning
yeah.
out their drawers, cleaning
They
out their
grow very
closets.
fast.
I mean, all of that stuff is just like, it does just, there's a lot, right?
There is. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot. And I love that you said you use your calendar, you use a task list. And I know for me, no 2 days look alike, no 2 weeks look alike. And we are always challenged to do our perfect week. Um,
Mhm.
and I like, my advice is your perfect week is week to week.
Yeah.
Because
It
it
really
really
is.
does depend. Is your mom in town? What is Joe's schedule like? Is your
Mhm.
sister available in the morning or the afternoon? So blocking that off, you said like on a Sunday or Monday morning. When do you typically look at your week ahead of you?
Usually Sunday
Yeah.
because my mom well, it's nice that my mom has the kids at that point too, so Joe and I can talk about what our upcoming week looks like, and there was a point where I just said to him, like, "I need you to send me your meetings every morning so I know, what
Mm,
time you're gonna be in meetings," and I know that's a little extreme, but I'm a little type A about those things, so
yeah, no,
but
I
it
mean,
is truly helpful to know, when I can schedule things and when I have assistance and when I don't.
right. Well, and I know, if you don't have parents or you don't have family members or whatnot, because I could hear people say, well, gosh, isn't she lucky?
Right,
Even
yeah,
though you work your tail off and it's still not easy when you have help, you can leverage help. I mean,
mhm,
and that was one thing that Ed always said to me. I would always kind of use this excuse that, like, I don't have a babysitter. I
yeah,
don't know anybody. And he would say, you don't have a babysitter because you haven't looked for one.
mhm,
Um, and then the resentment would be, well, why do I have to look for one, right?
yeah, yeah.
But
Oh,
again,
100%.
we have to be careful of that because it is the way that we set our family up. I was the primary caregiver of our children, so that did fall under my responsibility role. The same way his responsibilities, he has to handle the finances of the business,
Yeah, right,
not me.
and
So
all
we
those things are important. It's just yeah.
Yeah, and I could, so again, making sure that that communication is in play, but finding help,
Mhm.
finding babysitters, finding friends and family, um, really taking advantage of any leverage that you can get with your kids, is definitely something that when there's a will, there's a way,
Mhm.
um, and I
Absolutely.
guess I mean, so then the other side of that is, well, if I leverage out, if I have all these babysitters and other people watching my kids, when will I see my kids or how will I spend time with them? How do you
Mhm.
handle that? Like, do you have that mom guilt um, or how do you manage making sure you have quality time with them?
Of course I have. Of course I have mom guilt. I think even when we try not to, we do, right?
Mhm.
Um, y it's really just a balance. I mean, it's hard to say exactly how I make that happen. I just know that organizing my priorities is really important to me, and having time with them is pretty crucial. So, yeah, again, like, just setting boundaries with not only your support system and your family, but also,
Mhm.
everyone that's involved in your business too. Um,
Mhm.
but, navigating the mom guilt, a lot of it was like when I started in real estate and really I just had Wes, um, it was a struggle with that mindset of if someone wants to work with Hannah Davis, they should get Hannah Davis, or, they should get me 150,000%.
Mhm.
Um, so I've changed a little bit the ways I show up in my business, not in a negative way,
Mhm.
but just to make those things more manageable, and that way I have more time with my kids. Like, I don't have to answer an email absolutely right away. If it takes me an hour, or if I have time set aside, every couple hours to just respond to emails,
Mhm.
that opens up time with my kids too. So just being
Mhm.
organized and, letting go of that anxiety of where I have to be present 24/7 in absolutely everything that I do,
Mhm.
which I still struggle with to this day.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but I do know that I have to prioritize being with my kids and seeing
Mhm.
them in every stage, and that's very important to me. So, just showing up a little bit differently and, managing the anxiety that comes with, um, being someone who other people rely on in both facets of my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's amazing that you recognize that. And if you're fully present at work and you're operating, with all of your work energy and you get a lot done in a short period of time, then you can switch gears and be fully
Yeah.
present with your kids, right? And
Yes.
operate in full mom mode.
Hmm.
And I think that is the challenge that I think a lot of parents deal with is letting those lines cross.
Yeah.
When you're with your kids, you're thinking about work. When you're at work, you're thinking about your kids. You're never fully present anywhere that you're at. And that's
Hmm.
been something, even I think it's an evolution, it's a journey, right? We're all dealing with that. And
Yes.
one of the things that has been helping me with that is if you're thinking about something that you're not doing right now, it's put it on your task list, put it in your calendar and say, that's when I'll think about it and let it go.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Make
Yeah.
it actionable at some point in the future. That way you feel
Mhm.
like something's checked off. At least it's checked off that it's going to be checked off.
Absolutely. So, what has been the most rewarding aspect of being a mom and a real estate agent?
um, that's a very good question. I think even though they're little, I think them seeing that I can succeed at a high level and
Mhm.
still be present in their lives and show up for them, and that I can make it possible for them, and obviously Joe's a part of that and my family's a part of that, and
Mhm.
I think reinforcing too how important family is, and um so I think it's just rewarding that I came into this career hoping that I would be able to have a better work life balance than I did when I was at my 9 to 5. And while it comes with its own challenges, obviously, I think probably the most rewarding part is that I can do both, and I've proven that to myself when I wasn't really even sure that I could make it happen and how it would really work out. Um,
Mhm.
but we've created that life for ourselves. We've it's our life by design.
That's right. Not by default.
Hmm.
Um, and you kind of shared something with me, and I said to you when I was asking you about, would you want to talk to me about this topic? Uh, why do you do it? What makes you get up every day and juggle this wildly unpredictable career and two wildly unpredictable toddlers and all of the things? Like what is your why? Why do it?
I love helping people.
Hmm.
That's also something that kind of differs from when I worked in a like a 9 to 5 office environment. I don't feel like I was truly impacting change or helping anyone or doing what I could to make the most impact in someone's life. And that's what I love about real estate and getting to meet new people and helping them with something so significant and being a big part of that. And um it's the best feeling in the world, truly. And to be able to show that to my kids too, and
Hmm.
they get to learn in that environment too and see what I'm doing, and um Wes gets on my coaching calls too. So I do what I do because I love how it impacts other people, and just the life changes that it's made for my family too.
Yeah. What kind of life changes has it made for your family?
Well, we bought our dream home last year. Actually, this year. Well, it's December, so last year technically. Um, we just wanted a little bit. We had this vision of what we wanted in a house, and we got pretty much exactly that. And
Mhm.
this career has allowed me to spend more time with my kids. If I was at the job I was at before I was a real estate agent,
Mhm.
I just wouldn't be home with them. And there's nothing wrong with absolutely
Right.
nothing wrong with having kids in childcare or daycare or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, it's just, this is what we chose for them, and
Mhm.
um, I'm glad we're able to do it.
Yeah. And it's awesome to watch you do it. So I would love I would love to hear like a memorable experience where you had to manage like a significant real estate deal and also manage your family or, high needs of your family at the same time. Can you like think of a moment like that?
There's a couple. um,
Daily.
so, but right before Wes turned 1, in April of 2022, it was a big year, like I said. And in April of 2022, I put 9 buyers under contract
Oh
at
my
the same
gosh.
time.
In 1 month?
And I think, yeah. So I think
Oh
it
my
was all
gosh,
buyers.
that's crazy.
At that point in my career, I was a little more buyer heavy, and at least at that point, I only had 1 child. However, it was a lot to manage, still being his primary caregiver, him being 10 months old, um,
Mm,
putting all these people under contract, and then a month later finding out that, or I guess month and a half later finding out when some of these deals were still processing that I was pregnant again. So, we got through it. I mean, I don't feel like anyone thought I missed a beat, and that's, something I'm really
mhm,
proud of too.
mhm,
I still showed up for them like I'd want someone to show up for me, and that's always important to me.
mhm.
Um, More recently, Joe went on a work trip, and I still have to be real estate agent Hannah. I can't turn that off.
Nope.
So luckily, it was a very good friend of mine, and she asked me to do a couple of showings, like more out on the east side. So it took us about 40 minutes to get out there, and I was like, okay, but I have to bring the kids. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Joe's not here, and it's not something I like to do or would normally do because they are rather distracting. um, but being a good friend of mine, she's like, "Yeah, that's totally okay." And you know what? Honestly, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
She had a toddler too, and it was just a good time and a good like bonding experience for them to have a new little friend and stuff
right.
like that. But it is very chaotic to manage. But we definitely turned it into something fun. So
Yeah.
and you realize too the support that you have from other people when you're a mom in real estate too. They're like, "Oh, just bring up," and not that you always want to do that, but having the option is really great.
Right, and I mean, I have brought my kids on numerous showings,
Mhm.
and I've had, the carrier in one hand, pregnant in the other, and like, okay, I'll show you, and
Yeah,
I mean, you obviously know when you can do that and when you can't.
right. Yeah.
It's not a good habit to get in to bring your kids on all of your showings and just assume people are okay with that, even when they are gracious.
Yes.
Um, but you do know when, and you can say like, look, if you have to see this house and it has to be me, I'll show you, but I have my 3-year-old with me,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, "That's fine. I just want to get in the house. I don't even care." You
Yeah.
know.
And that's really what it was for them too, and,
Yeah,
yeah, it turned out to be great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what like what advice would you give moms who either women who are thinking about becoming mothers who are already real estate agents, or moms who are kind of in the thick of it saying, oh gosh, this is just, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think part is what you said and maybe what Ed told you that, if you don't feel like you have the support system, maybe seek it out. Like, at one point,
Hmm.
um my parents do travel for a month out of the year every
Hmm.
year. And, we had a neighbor that just really took to our boys. And I would be like, just ask for help.
Hmm.
Usually it's there if you ask for it. Um,
Hmm.
and our neighbor, I would just text her and be like, hey, I have to run to a showing. Can you come for an hour? And,
Hmm.
she was retired. She lived 2 houses down and she's like, yeah, I'll be there. So, and I think, reaching out to people and establishing a network and, not just for the sake of, hey, will you watch my kids, but,
Hmm.
genuinely building a network in your own village is really important.
Right.
Um, and staying as organized as you can possibly be. I'm not perfect at it by any means.
Mhm.
But I think planning, organization, calendar, and communication.
Mhm.
It's definitely my biggest advice too. And I've I've seen plenty of women who maybe are single mothers or don't quite have the support system that I do be successful realtors as well.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's it's just about organization in your life and creating boundaries and maintaining a good schedule.
Mhm. And I love that you said be intentional about finding support, because these, like, everything that you're doing, you're intentionally doing because you're choosing to do it, right?
Right.
And if you really, really want it, you can make it happen.
Hmm.
It's not going to be easy, and it does get easier the older they
Yes.
get.
Yes.
It gets easier and easier.
Yeah.
It's a miracle as they get old enough to actually stay home alone. It's absolutely unreal.
When they're in school and everything like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but again, it doesn't mean that it's a different path in motherhood, right? The older that
Mhm.
they get. So it's so great talking to you, Hannah, because I have just admired everything that you're doing.
Well, thanks.
And I would love to end on one more question because I forgot to ask you this, but how do
Sure.
you fill your bucket? How do you take care of yourself? Because I hear a lot about taking care of my clients, taking care of my house, taking care of my kids. What do you do for you so that you can do all of that for everyone else?
Um, so I do schedule my workout in every night, and I say to a lot of people, I know that sounds maybe a little bit too productive, but it really is like the best thing that I could do for myself is like as soon as the kids go to bed, I'm not an early riser, so I cannot do the early mornings. I prioritize sleep. Um, but every night after they go to bed, I do work out, and sometimes my husband joins me too, so that gives us like time together, bonding time too. But it is really nice to just have the quiet time to myself and
Mhm.
listen to music, reading, go for a walk. We have dogs, so enjoying. We live on a golf course, so enjoying our backyard and just having some quiet time is really great. We do like home projects too, and I have a art background, so you know um, anything like that fills my cup. That's just a good outlet for me.
And I heard you say that you had to be intentional about it and schedule it. It doesn't
Yes.
just happen, right?
No, it
We
does
have
not.
we cannot be victims. We have to take control and be intentional. And if we choose to do both, we have to like ask for help, figure
Yes.
out ways to take control of your schedule and schedule time to take care of yourself. I love it.
Yeah. Set your non-negotiables for sure.
Non-negotiables and boundaries. I love it.
Yes.
Hannah, thank you so much for joining us today. And Hannah, I'm
Course.
sure would be more than happy to talk to anybody. I will leave
Yes.
her all of her information in the notes, and she is excellent on her social media. And that is a huge way that she does generate business, and it's a very efficient, productive way. So I'll share all of that with everybody. So thank you
Thank
so much, Hannah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.